Today in MATLAB Basics, we're going to cover two different ways of storing your data. The first is structure of arrays, which should be familiar to more people, and then the other is an array of structures. We're going to discuss when each is more appropriate. The first is structure of arrays. If I run this code right here, we're going to be talking about the top part here, the structure of arrays. And what I've done is I've created a data structure called data, and it has two fields. Those fields are both arrays, in this case 1 by 100 doubles. If I want to access the data in this structure, I can say data.x, and it will show me that data. If I want to use that data as an input to another function, I can use it as shown on line 3, where we say sign of data.x. Using a structure of arrays is a good way of keeping data that is related together so that it's easier to pass in one structure when you're going to a function. So rather than having to pass x and y and a bunch of other related variables to a structure, I might just pass data, which then would include the .x and the .y all together. It makes your calling syntax much easier, and it keeps related data together. The second kind of data that I wanted to talk about was an array of structures. And what this means is that you've got a structure, but you've got several copies of it stored together in an array. That's what's shown here in lines 6 through 16. We can see that we've made some kind of a personnel database. If we were to look at this, I could say people, and it would show me a structure that has 3 layers, 1, 2, and 3, and it has fields name, job, and SIM number. Okay, now if I want to look at a particular record, I could say people 1, and it's going to show me the information for the first record. This is very often useful when you've got many copies of the same kind of data set, like in this case maybe a personnel database. Now what if you wanted to gather all of this together? So for instance, you wanted all of the names out of people. Well, you could say people1.name, people2.name, and people3.name, and gather it that way, but that seems very not so much fun. We could say people colon and then name, saying let's get all of the elements of this. But when they come back, they're going to come back as 3 answers. If I were to say A is equal to people colon name, it's only going to capture the first one. That's no good. So the way you can do this is put a cell array around that. And now we've captured those 3 names in A. And we can see that A is a cell. Now what if we were trying to grab the SIM number? Well, we could say S is equal to people colon dot sim num, and it's only going to grab the first one again. So we put the cell array around there. Now it will grab all 3. But what if we wanted to deal with that as a vector? Well, what you can do is wrap around this cell to mat, and now if we look, we can see that we have a double, and we've got all those in there. So depending on how you want to use your data, one of these should work. It just depends. In this case, I'm never going to very likely want to have all the SIM numbers in a matrix, because they're really only relevant when you're dealing with a particular record or layer in that people structure. Whereas with the original data.x and data.y, I'm going to probably want to plot those against one another. So that's why I use a structure of arrays. Thank you.